Well, hello and welcome to HRM 381 online. I am your HR tour guide, otherwise known as Professor James Avey. I am in the Ellensburg campus, but I know some people will be kind of all over when they take this. That's just great. Purpose of this video is really an intro video for the course. Get an idea of the flow, what the assignments are going to be like, the purpose, stuff like that. We'll go through that. Probably not super specific on the schedule, although when the Canvas course is finalized, you'll see it with specificity and due dates and everything there. So just kind of an overall flow, how to access it, what to expect, like I said. So the class is HRM 381. This is an intro level course for HR. In the past, been kind of described as a dump truck full of bricks, meaning there's a whole bunch of stuff. A lot of them are connected, and we're going to just pull a brick off of that dump truck one at a time and explore it, whether it's employment law, training development, different theories of performance management, how to fire someone, how to hire someone, how to deal with unions, a little bit of safety, benefits, compensation, stuff like that. So we'll just pull those off one at a time and examine it and how it connects with the rest of the HR role specifically, and then the broader organization of the business in general. You can get a hold of me at that phone number. It rings through to my cell phone. If you do call me, I will probably not answer because I wouldn't recognize the number. So just leave a voicemail. I can give you a call right back. My office is Shaw 332. Has been for a long time. So third floor of Shaw in Ellensburg if you are around. College of Business mission, goals, great. You can go through there. There's a lot of work went into them. The course is pretty much offered all the time, including in the summer. So hopefully this time works for you. If it doesn't, again, it's pretty much always offered. Let me scroll down here. Textbook, Mathis and Jackson, 15th edition, maybe 16th when it becomes available, but I don't like switching editions too much if we don't have to, just because it increased costs for students. You will want it, and it does come with the class. It's all I'm not sure the term now, connected, i.e. inclusive access, IA, inclusive access. Everybody has it. If you do want to buy a book, I'm actually like that. If there's an ebook for a class, I would just buy the book if I had the money. You can do that. You can get them on Amazon or wherever. People ask, is there a big difference in the 14th edition, something like that? No, if you want a book, it's one of those things where you go, I'm going to run a business, I'm going to need something about HR, I want to hang on to a textbook. Just lift one off of Amazon. Lift is like steal. Maybe don't do that, but get one off of Amazon or just shoot me an email and I can find you the best stuff if you'd like. All right, so this is rolled out by weeks. First week's usually a short week, the way we schedule classes at Central. So quick class intro. The biggest thing, honestly, for this week is to do what you're doing right now, which is watching this video so you can understand how the course is going to go. Watch the video, read the syllabus, and begin thinking about policy manuals. It's a big part of the grade for the class, and it's super cool, like architecting how you think a business should have a policy or a procedure, or both, most likely both. And you can just do that by going online, saying HR policy manual, what is it, and get a rough idea of kind of contents and stuff like that for the major project, which is due near the end of the quarter. Three kind of things when it comes to assignments. There's homework, there's quizzes, and there's the policy manual. So if you're one of those people like me, like in your head go like, how do I break this up into chunks? I apologize, I have a visiting duck outside my barn, so my apologies for that sound if you can hear it. But you like to break it up in chunks. Those are the chunks. Homework, straightforward, pretty easy. You can do it every week, and it's wide open. So if you want to just carve out a weekend or two and just say, I'm just going to blitz through all of it so I don't have to worry about it, you can do that. The other one is the quizzes. The quizzes, you'll see them on the schedule. They use Respondus. I'll explain a little bit more when I get there. But 6 quizzes. The last quiz is not cumulative. I get that question sometimes. But 6 quizzes over the different modules. And the last one, of course, is the policy manual, which I'll explain in just a minute. So we kick it off, chapter 1, basically what is HR? Given this is an intro class, a lot of people don't have exposure to the different functions. If I use words that you don't know what they are because I haven't done a good job laying the foundation, just shoot me an email. It's not a big deal. I'll talk about HRM, for instance, Society for Human Resource Management, and I'll use other employment terms, BFOQs and stuff like that. You can ask me, of course. So chapter 1, what is HR? Chapter 2, we spend a very short amount of time on this. This is really more macro level. So in some of the more advanced HR courses, if that's your major or maybe your minor, then you'll get more on HR strategy and resource planning and stuff like that later on. But a little bit just to get to know the vernacular. And then we get into what a lot of people think of as traditional HR, which is EEO. Touches a ton of things. It's always hot in culture. It's always in the courts. It's always in the news. So it does behoove us, even if you're not going to go into business or be an HR person or be a manager, really every manager is an HR person, to at least have a framework to understand what is equal employment opportunity, what is a class action lawsuit, what is and isn't discrimination, what is and isn't sexual harassment, stuff like that. So that's a big one, a lot of information in there. And then we have our first quiz. At that point, so a couple weeks in, you will have had lecture content, you'll have had book content, you had study guide to help you connect those, and then you'll take quiz 1. If you're doing okay at that point, you're probably going to be fine for the quizzes and the homework because it's that same process repeated 5 more times. So you get information from the book, information from stuff that I put out there, PowerPoint slides, papers, and information from the lectures, all the links to my lectures. That's how you are going to assimilate the knowledge. Where there's disconnect, call, Zoom, email, text, send me a carrier pigeon, like whatever it is, and we'll connect, and then you'll take the quiz. When that's done, do that 5 more times, do your homework, and you're going to be okay. And if you're not okay, shoot me an email. So again, chapter 4, 5, I won't do this for all of them, but you can see that each chapter, where it's under topic, we usually have some kind of an associated assignment with it. Some of them I don't. For instance, I have a media case and an assignment from chapter 1, a case from chapter 3, an assignment from chapter 3, nothing for chapter 2. That's okay. They're not all going to be in there, but usually the homework is pretty well connected with kind of the course flow, chapter by chapter. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Roll all the way through to the end of the quarter. Chapter 16, where we focus in on unions. That last Friday, you will have the media case for chapter 15 and 16, and then your final exam, which is really your quiz 6. So it's not a cumulative big scary final or anything like that. The big scary thing, honestly, is probably the policy manual, which I'll get there in a minute. Okay. Assignments, like I said, 6 quizzes. They're broken out to have 2 or 3 chapters in each one. Pretty standard multiple choice quiz, some definition, some application, and some conceptual. The tough questions are the application questions. You guys know this, right? Like, what is a disability? And there's a range of options, and one of them is something that limits a major life function. That's the correct answer. That's just vocab. That's pretty straightforward. No reason to miss those. The next question might be like 3 sentences long, where you embed yourself, in a company, and this person's an HR generalist. This person just came into their office. Here's what they said. What's the next step? So those application questions are a bit more difficult, but give it time and it'll work. People generally do well if they're studying and staying up on the study guides. The quizzes are timed, but they are open notes. So they're timed, and you have to stay on the Respondus browser, not the Respondus monitor, the video camera thing. I just had too many problems with that. But the Respondus browser, it's kind of a lockdown browser. If you don't know about that, it's over in modules. I can show it to you. You have 60 minutes. It should be pretty easy. It's 30 questions, plus or minus a couple. So yeah, that's for each of the 6 quizzes. The next chunk of work is the homework. So each week there will be homework. I'll show you how to access that in just a minute. If you've used MindTap or some of those online publisher things before, it's pretty similar, and the only purpose of the homework is to try to synthesize some of the stuff from book, from resources that I have out there and from my lectures to kind of force you to cross concepts to understand a little bit better. All right, the big fat one, 500 points, is the HR Policy Manual. One of the great things and terrible things of undergrad university level work is team projects, and this will be another one of those. Won't be a very big team because you're going to have to be nimble, but I want to spend a few minutes walking through this to make sure we get it because it is such a big part of the grade. So after a week or so of class, we'll kind of have our final list of students that will and will not be in the class. There's usually a little bit of shuffling there in the beginning. Once that's done, I'm going to assign you in groups of 3 or 4. Yes, if you have a best friend or someone in the class, just send me an email and I'll do my best. No guarantees, but I'll do my best. But put people together in groups, and you're going to complete an HR policy manual. So if you want to just Google that, look it up, and look at one, that's what you're going to do. Something like that, except it's going to be all original. Some people call this an employee handbook. They're similar. We're not doing a full-on handbook. There's a lot more in that, more procedures in that. We're focusing in on the policy side as much as possible. This is the major assignment in the course. Again, Google it, go check it out, and see if and if you have any questions, you can get back to me. The purpose of the assignment is basically to put into practice and to implement everything that we're talking about, everything that you're learning about. Written policies, you can see it here, need to be clear, comprehensive, don't leave stuff out. They have to be legal, they have to be ethical, and they have to be in line with HR best practices. In other words, you're going to have to justify it. If this is your process, your policy for hiring someone. I just got off the phone literally before I hit record here with a CEO of a company. They're a subcontractor for Facebook on the west side, and she said, we're having some safety issues. She runs kitchens and stuff. Safety issues because somebody's yelling out, "This is hot" or "That's sharp" in English, and not everybody can read or understand or speak English. So I'm going to put on all my job applications that you have to be able to speak and read and understand English. And she just wanted to make sure, am I going to get in trouble for that? So I kind of walked her through, like, here's things you have to consider. If it's a good business move or if it isn't, here's where you should do it, right? Here's where you shouldn't do it, and here's kind of some gray area. So we went through that. So if you say in your policy manual, everybody has to do that, you're going to have to justify it because based on Supreme Court case law, you can do that if the job requires it. If the job doesn't require it, then you can't do it, and you're probably going to discriminate, probably based on ethnicity, probably going to get sued, probably going to lose, as well as, being unethical and stuff like that. So if you put a policy in there, it better be legal, it better be ethical, it better be comprehensive. I can see everything there, and then you'll have a section at the bottom that justifies it. This is why we think this is a good policy. Okay? Each policy and procedure will include, and there'll be a lot of them, each of them will include the name of the student author for individual evaluation. So here's how this works. We're going to cover this in the compensation chapter. If you put people in a group but pay them as individuals, what generally happens? The same thing that's happened on every team project you've ever done. 1 or 2 people carry the load, and 1 or 2 people don't do very much. And so they carry the weight, or if it's in business, they carry the compensation for everybody else. Not particularly fair. Let's say you want them to work as a team. They must work as a team, but you pay them individually. No bueno, because there's no incentive to work as a team. Well, let's say we only give them a team grade or a team payout. You can see the problems. If you're going to have people in groups or teams, which are different things, you got to evaluate them both. You got to pay them both. Pay them individual, team bonus, or pay them as a team, individual bonus, one or the other. That's kind of like what this is. 250 points of this 500 will be what you individually do. I'm going to evaluate your individual work, which is why your name needs to be on it. The other 250 points is how the team did. The purpose of this is for you to do well for your points and for you to make sure everybody else is doing well. You raise their game. You edit their stuff so the complete product is way better. People are individual focused and they want to raise the game for everybody else. Please don't use this as an opportunity to rip up everybody else's work. If you have a question, there will be disagreements. One person says, I think it should go this way, and it's my section, and another person would say, I think we should do something different, and that's team points on me. Ask me. I'll tell you, like more interaction. Like for me, I'm a teacher, right? I like human interaction. It's an HR class. So get a hold of me and we can walk through it. So the name of the person who was the lead on it, the title of the policy, sexual harassment policy, would be fine. The content of the policy. This is where you actually write it. Here is our policy for this company. References to how you got that. Sorry, references to other related policies. So if you have a hiring policy and a discipline policy, when you write a severance policy, you're going to want to put those references in there so they can severance and firing and hiring are connected, right? So the closer they're connected, put in the references with page numbers. Finally, all the citations where you got the information. If you write a really good policy that came from your brain, you'll get a 0, right? We go out, we do research, we figure out right here, best HR practices from research and class discussion. A lot of the policy is what I'm going to say in the lectures, and a lot of the policy is going to be what you go out and research. A lot of people will probably join SHRM and go to shrm.org because they have a ton of these. And if you cite them, that's okay. We'll talk about what we're going to do with plagiarism here in a minute. But the big idea here is that you do some research, come up with a cool policy that's good, that fits that criteria, write it down, say where you got it, and lastly, point number 6, a bracketed section at the very bottom providing the logic of the policy. Now, don't do more than a paragraph. Honestly, you could write a sexual harassment policy and list 100 pages all about sexual harassment and how that policy is good. Just a paragraph so I get a rough idea of this is why they think that's a good policy. So if I go through your policy and go, why are you doing X? Like that's garbage. I can go down and go, oh, that was their logic. Okay. You are encouraged to include all aspects of the HR function. However, that would be really big. So in order to provide focus, what you have here is a list of minimum and required content. 25 of them. Your policy for hiring, policy for drug testing, any safety policies. How are you going to do discipline? Is it 3 strikes, you're out? Is it progressive discipline? How are you going to investigate? External third party costs more money, but has the appearance of procedural justice, of being more fair. Are you going to do it in-house? When there's a compromise, if you have an investigator in-house who's dating the person who's accused of sexual harassment, they have to recuse themselves, right? So then what? That's what I mean by investigation procedures. How are you going to pay people? When are the pay periods? All the way down to what are you going to do when they get jury duty? What are you going to do when grandma dies? And sexual harassment. So these 25 have to be in there. Well, I guess they don't have to be in there, but for course grade, they have to be in there. That's the minimum. I'd say necessary but insufficient. If you want to crush it, it's going to be a bunch more. Of whatever you think is the most important, and there needs to be a policy for. All right. All policies, procedures must be cited, sourced appropriately from rigorous sources, not CNN or Fox. Rigorous sources. Scholarly sources. Okay. Final product. This is the thing that you will turn in as a team. Please make it easy for me to follow. A cover page with the course and obviously the student names of everybody in the team, a table of contents, all the content in the manual, page numbers, etc., names of the policy, and I should be looking at that table of contents and say, oh, it's a sexual harassment policy, it's on page 12, and Joe did it. All should be right there. Size 12, Times New Roman, double space, bold headings, etc. Okay. Oh yeah, these are super important. When you get going on it and you have a couple policies done, fire them over. Like there's nothing in here that says I won't. As a matter of fact, I will look at them. It's like, yeah, that looks good. No, that doesn't look good. I mean, once or twice. I'm not going to evaluate each one. But if you want to send it off to me, I'll give you some feedback. If you send it back, I'll probably do that one more time. Just if people have a rough idea. What I don't want is someone to come in at the end and turn in 3 pages and be like, what? We thought it was good. That would I don't want any surprises. So feel free to send it to me first for a review. Like I said, maybe once or twice. Number 2, plagiarism is evaluated with the Turnitin software. It's embedded in Canvas. Basically just sources everything on it's ever been published, well, at least on the web, that it can find. And you can just straight up take some stuff, cite it, obviously, up to 20%. So when you submit an assignment, you can click a little button and it evaluates it for Turnitin. In plagiarism, I don't mean like, oh, somebody's being bad. I mean, just mean like if somebody did their work, we're not just going to lift it, even if it's really good. We're gonna tweak it and make it our own. So you'll be allowed up to a 20% Turnitin index. So 20% on the Turnitin index basically means 20% of what you submit can be kind of word for word. Now, if you do that word for word, cut and paste, whatever it is, make sure it's cited. You have to have the citing in there, and there's quotes and all that kind of stuff we got from English 101. But it will allow up to 20% of that. Anything above 20 to 0. No exception. So just make sure it's below 20, make sure everything's cited. Grading, individual and team level, like I said. So take pride individually and also contribute to the team. It's about 37% of the final grade. So kind of a big deal. Anyway, questions on this as you go through, reach out to me, and I'm happy to talk through it more. I don't do any late assignments at all, just because it's too much to manage. But sometimes stuff happens, right? You get a call from mom, you got to go back home, or you have to help a friend, or you're in the hospital, whatever it is. So if something happens, keep in mind we have all the due dates for everything kind of right now in advance. So for instance, if there's homework due Friday and somebody gives me a call Friday afternoon and says, oh, hey, this thing came up, I can't do the homework, I'll say, sorry, bro, should have done it yesterday, because all the due dates are out there. But in general, not in general, all the time, I don't do any late assignments. But the advantage, or what I do just to account for life happening, is I'll just drop whatever hurt your grade the most. I drop that from everybody, with the exception of the last quiz and obviously the policy manual. So there's a couple days open, like the window to take the quiz, and you have to go do it, and something happens and you get a 0 on the quiz because you missed it. Don't worry about it. It's going to get dropped. It's grace, and that's what we'll use your drop on. Again, questions on that, let me know as well. Other than that, I think everything else here is pretty straightforward. Oh, one more thing. If you do want to join SHRM, I'll be talking about this more later. National SHRM it's the Society for Human Resource Management. It's pretty cool, but I'm an HR guy, so I might be a little biased. Great access to a lot of things. A lot of small business owners appreciate it because they say, gee, I need a policy for drug testing. SHRM.org, drug testing policy, and you get like 9 to choose from. So it has some good resources. If you want to do that, just send me your SHRM little receipt for your member number, and it's 15 points extra credit. You don't have to do that, but you can. Also, from time to time, I will post Zoom links for SHRM, their club meetings, CW SHRM Club. And if you want to do that, that is super easy as well, and I offer pretty good extra credit for it. So as those meetings are scheduled, I'll also release that and announce it and stuff like that. So plenty of extra credit in the course as well. All right, let me look at a few more things here so you can have a rough idea of navigating Canvas. Announcements, I'll use those from time to time. Extra credit stuff will be here, reminders for quizzes, things like that. When you want to access all of the course content, just click on modules and everything is here. The introduction video that you're watching right now, how to access MindTap for winter, summer, fall, spring, whatever it is, how to access it. Tech support. So if you're trying to do homework and something's not working, I probably won't be able to solve it if it's on their end. Tech support, I've heard good things about them. They seem to be pretty responsive. If you want to know more about the SHRM chapter and what to do, there's a link right here. I go like 3 or 4 minute video of why would someone want to join SHRM? Why wouldn't I want to? Once we get past this, you can see the manual is here, December 2nd. If you click on it, it's just a little assignment, everything that was in the syllabus. No, nothing complex about it. Once we get here into Module 1, you have Chapter 1 PowerPoint slides, Chapter 1 video lecture of me doing this, some problems that have come up, kind of FAQ stuff. You have a link to Chapter 1 homework assignments, Same thing. Chapter 2, PowerPoint slides. Chapter 2, book chapter. Chapter 2, video lecture. Same thing. Chapter 3, assignments. And the completion of each module are two important things. Number one, the study guide. Study guide was derived from the quiz, and it'll give you a rough idea of kind of where I'm going on the quiz. And finally, when it's open, the quiz for that module. If that made sense to you, then all of modules will make sense to you. Module 2, we're going to go through chapters 4 and 5 and then do homework and take a quiz. Module 3, chapters 6, 7, and 8, do the homework, take a quiz. All the while working on this HR policy manual, which I highly encourage you not to delay on, because it's a tough assignment. It's a lot of work. It's fun work. You actually be pretty stoked at the end when you look. You're like, oh, cool. I know how to write policies for companies now. All right. With that, if you have questions at any point, please reach out to me. I will post extra credit stuff. I'll tighten up all of the assignment dates so they're all the way they should be. If you have any trouble accessing materials on Canvas, let me know right away. If you have trouble accessing the homework through MindTap, give tech support a call. And yeah, it's a fun class. Like, it affects so much of our lives. People who have work, it affects them. People who work at home, it affects them. People who are looking for a job, it affects them. So I should throw this out also. As you go through, we're going to start talking about compensation, benefits, retention clauses, stuff like that. If you have a scenario like in your life where you go, I just got these 2 job offers and just want someone to weigh in on what they think of them, I'm happy to help you do that. Salary negotiation strategies, stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. So keep in touch as much as you want. Again, you don't have to, but I like interaction, and have a great quarter.